All right, it's the 46th edition of the Sports Mashup here on the podcast platforms. January 11th is the evening we're recording this, but the episode published on the East Coast likely around on January 12th. But lots to cover in the world of sports. The National Basketball Association, or the association is what some people might want to call it, is where we start. Klay Thompson makes his long-awaited return to the Warriors, scored 17 points in 20 minutes on Sunday. They beat the Cavaliers, but they came back tonight, Tuesday night, and lost to the Grizzlies, who have won 9 straight. And really, what we're seeing in Memphis, they're the number 3 team in the West now. I believe they're 27 or 28-14. So they're only a few games behind the Warriors, who they beat. And the Warriors are now a game behind Phoenix. And what we're seeing with Memphis is Ja Morant is clearly the best player from the Zion draft to this point. It's not close.
Other than him, though, I don't know if I can name another guy who's on the Grizzlies.
Well, they're a team they're a scrappy group. They got some talent. I mean, they've drafted guys. Jaren Jackson Jr. from Michigan State's pretty good. Brandon Clark from Gonzaga is pretty good. I think Grayson Allen's on that team. I think, unless he got traded, he might have got traded to the Jazz or something.
I think after the last year, he went to the Jazz.
Yeah, he was there last season. But yeah, they're a group that I think a lot of people would be in the same spot that you are, which is they don't know a lot of players in that team. Ja Morant's obviously the superstar, but yeah, I'm looking right now on SVP. It's on your screen as well. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games as an underdog. So, I mean, they're an underdog against the Warriors, Lakers, and the Lakers. I mean, the Lakers continuing to be favorites in games is just hilarious because they're awful. LeBron's putting up good numbers, but they're a train wreck. But yeah, that's what's going on in the association.
Your Suns is tied for best record in the West.
The Suns almost lost that game against Toronto, but they were able to get it done. I mean, I don't know what the hell that inflatable thing is. That had to be annoying.
You've never seen there's the big one and there's a little one.
Booker was mad about that. I mean, that's a bit much. I mean, I guess they need some sort of advantage.
If you can't have fans in the stands, you might as well have a 20-foot blow-up Raptor.
That's a fair point. And that whole thing, I mean, I don't even know why anybody would even want to – like, what's the incentive of playing for a Canadian team if you're in the NHL, the NBA now? You're playing for empty arenas. You're going through insanely tight protocols. It's a bit much, but that's what's going on right now. So, all right.
I mean, it's not like they picked to play there, and they're getting paid pretty handily to play there.
Yeah, but just like for some guys who are there now that are going to hit free agency for the first time in their career, I feel like there's not a ton of incentive to stay there.
Other than they can get paid.
Yeah, which they can get paid by an American team too, I guess. So,
yeah, all right. Limited spots.
The good thing of the NBA is that they have one team on the other side of the border, so they don't have to deal with the NHL 7. But there you go. All right, the NFL, National Football League. The regular season comes to a close. Some quick hitters here on a Sunday that featured a lot of meaningless games and some meaningful games as well. You had the Kansas City Chiefs get it done in Denver, 28-24. They beat the Broncos. Drew Lock, just a tough go.
Hey, I told you that spread you took was way too big at Denver.
I have typically been of the belief that it is hard to win at Denver, but I feel like it's different with the Chiefs. They've beaten the Broncos 13 times in a row now. I just thought that they would just go out and dominate. But whatever, they could have had the 1 seed, but Tennessee got the job done there. The Cowboys just destroyed the Eagles. Didn't mean anything for the Eagles anyway. They're going to be the 7 seed, 51-26. Cowboys beat the Eagles, 5 touchdowns for Dak. I believe he now has the Cowboys all-time record for passing touchdowns in a season, passing Tony Romo with that one. So there you go.
Which, I mean, the extra game helps everybody.
Yeah, especially for records. So, I mean, but for some guys breaking records, they missed games or missed a game. I mean, TJ Watt played 15 games or 16 games. So, and he tied the record, did not break it. Only needed a sack and a half to break it, but could not get the job done. Lions.
He got the sack at least.
Yeah, he did get the sack to tie it. Lions beat the Packers 37-30. Meaningless game for the Packers. Rodgers played in the first half. Jordan Love threw a couple of picks, including one that pretty much sealed the deal. Packers defense just not good, especially when they have half of their starters in, half the reserves in, and Devondre Campbell not being there in the middle is an atrocity. I hope that never happens for the rest of the season. But the Lions get a win there. They play hard for Dan Campbell. Props to them. Same could be said for the Jaguars. We'll get to them in a moment. Browns beat the Burrowless Bengals. I believe it was actually Brandon Allen at quarterback for the Bengals.
Correct.
21-16, the Browns won that game. Baker Mayfield, I don't think he played, and he'll have surgery coming up in a week or so on that shoulder injury.
And the Browns did come out and say they are going to bring back Baker next year.
Which isn't surprising. I mean, I think a lot of people forget, despite how bad he was, he was playing through a couple of major injuries all season.
Yeah.
And he was getting hit a lot, too. Like, their offensive line was not as good as it should have been. So,
which is surprising because it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I think they had a little bit of injury issues on the offensive line. They're just a team that needs to run the ball, like, a ton. Like, 70% runs.
Maybe draft another target since you lost Beckham and you really only have Jarvis and Peoples-Jones.
Yeah, they don't really have – I mean, they don't have a lot of weaknesses either. Like, they're a good team. They should not have missed the playoffs.
You have David Njoku and Austin Hooper, but he hardly throws the ball to the tight ends.
I'm assuming Njoku's gone after this season. He's a free agent, I believe, and there's really no – the only team that really pays two tight ends a significant amount of money is New England, and I don't see the Browns doing that after the Hooper deal. But that's a team that doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. So there you go. The Vikings, the Washington football team, and the Saints all won meaningless games. Vikings over the Bears, football team over the Giants, and Saints over the Falcons. The Colts, I mean, we'll get to that soon. Let's Colts lose to the Jaguars. We'll talk about that after all this. We'll continue here. Steelers beat the Ravens 16-13 in overtime. Thanks to the Raiders, the Steelers are in the playoffs, so we can watch Big Ben go out in a way that's going to be a blowout loss. So congrats, everybody. We get to watch Big Ben in the playoffs instead of Justin Herbert. Great.
And did Lamar Jackson not play in this game again?
He did not play, no. I mean, the Ravens season was over when he went down. Huntley's good, but yeah, it just didn't work. Harbaugh made a lot of risky decisions late in games, maybe hurt them, but Ravens season, disappointing end. Ravens and Browns, both disappointing seasons for sure. Titans, they clinched the AFC 1 seed with a 28-25 win over the Texans. The Texans, another team playing hard for their coach. The Giants, not so much. We'll talk about that. Bills win the AFC East 27-10. They beat the Jets. Game was close for the majority, but the Bills pulled away late. 49ers clinch a playoff spot with a 27-24 overtime victory over the Rams. Jimmy Garoppolo, Deebo Samuel's a stud. I mean,
he even threw for a touchdown.
Yep. He was running the ball from the backfield. He was catching the ball, making plays.
I never saw the replay of it. Did Stafford get hit on that last throw, or did he just weigh him to throw that ball?
I don't even remember the only thing I remember for that play is that it was to OBJ and it was picked. I don't remember whether he got hit or not. But
the only replay I saw was of OBJ, and it looked like he was like barely jogging. And it finally took off, and then the ball was underthrown.
I mean, let's be honest. Stafford has been known to throw some atrocious interceptions.
Correct. And a guy who he's not worked that much with.
Yeah. So, all right. The Dolphins beat the Patriots 33-24.
Oop, called it.
There you go. Seahawks spoil the Cardinals' NFC West hopes with a 38-30 win. Bucks beat the Panthers. They pulled away in the second half, 41-17 to clinch the 2 seed.
Getting bonuses paid.
Yeah, and Brady numbers look great. Odds would tell you he won't win the MVP, but he had a tremendous season. I think the big problem for him that people will look at will be
the picks.
You threw the ball 200 more times than Rodgers and only had like 5 more touchdowns or 6 more touchdowns, which
45.
And the thing is, I think the passer rating, the quarterback that plays all the games, has a good numbers, has a good team. The quarterback with the best passer rating is normally going to win the MVP. Matt Ryan, Rodgers has led the league in passer rating, all 3 of his MVPs before. So that's the problem for Brady. His passer rating is like 102 or something, and Rodgers is 111. That's just going to hurt him. And obviously the whole Chicago Hub Arkish thing is probably going to help Rodgers in that regard. So
last week's was 100.5 to 111.1.
And Rodgers went up to like 111.5, and I'm assuming Brady's went up after that game. So, yeah, that might be something they look at. Craziness ensues. Raiders beat the Chargers to make the playoff 35-32 in overtime, and I tweeted a lot about how much I hate Brandon Staley because I wanted to see the tie so goddamn bad, and it's just if he doesn't call the timeout there, you wonder what do the Raiders do. I still think they did attempt the field goal, but he calls the timeout to get defensive personnel in to stop the run, and they still give up a 10-yard run. So
and you had Oakland's coach saying that they were playing for the tie.
He didn't really say that they weren't. So,
and then I saw a thing that Vegas was even worried because they had so many bets on the tie that they were going to lose a bunch of money.
Yeah, I mean, that was an unbelievable game and a great way to close out the season, but I wanted the tie really badly.
I mean, the Chargers are a way better team to watch and everything. And would they be in the same spot as the Steelers?
They might have been ahead of the Raiders. They might have been the 6. They might have been playing Cincinnati.
Or them and the Patriots would have flipped or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, the Chargers went 5.
I think the Raiders were 7.
Yeah, they would have been, yeah. And then the Steelers have the tie, and yeah. But the Chargers were 5 for 6 on 4th down. Herbert made some unbelievable throws on those drives, and the one 4th down that they didn't convert was a 4th and inches from their own 18. The other ones, they had a 4th and 21 they converted, a few 4th and 10s, 4th and 9. And like I said, now we got to see Big Ben in the playoffs instead of Herbert, which is annoying.
Austin Eckler is still an animal.
Yeah, I mean, he had a drop early in that game, and he made some huge plays as well. Herbert threw the ball, 54 times or something? I mean,
I don't know. I saw, once again, my fantasy team, if I was still playing, everyone scores. I had Josh Jacobs had a good game finally. Renfro had 2 touchdowns. At one point, I looked, he had like 4 catches for 13 yards and 2 touchdowns. I was like, well, at least he's getting some points.
Yep, and it should be a crazy weekend. Super wild card weekend. What are the matchups we have?
Matchups. You got the byes. You got the Packers in the NFC and the Titans in the AFC. Saturday, you got the Raiders at the Bengals at 3:30 Central Standard. Patriots at the Bills at 7:15. Sunday, this is where I don't understand how the order of this works. You have the Eagles at the Bucks at noon. Niners at Cowboys at 3:30. Steelers Chiefs 7:15. And then Monday you got the Cardinals and the Rams. So you got the 4 and the 5 seed in the NFC getting the Monday night game. But you don't have like a 2 or a 3 seed playing in that game?
I mean, it doesn't surprise me too much though. West Coast and I don't know. Doesn't surprise me. I don't really love the idea of a Monday night playoff game, to be honest. I don't know why, but I don't love it.
And the fact that the Rams had one of the last games of the year, and then they get all the way till Monday to play.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. It should be an interesting weekend, though. I like the matchups. I don't really think we have that any bad matchups.
Because I mean, that Patriots Bill game, that's going to start at 8:15 East Coast.
Yeah,
those guys aren't going to get done till midnight almost.
Yeah, I don't love the scheduling. I would agree with that. But good matchups. I'm interested to see what goes down. Some new blood in there with the Raiders and the Bengals a little bit. I get to see Jalen Hurts in the playoffs. You get to see, the Cowboys back in it. You get to see the Chiefs just destroy the Steelers. So it should be interesting. But there is a total of, I believe, 7 head coach openings in the NFL right now.
Okay, hey, before we get to the coaches, let's talk about the Colts now.
All right, we'll talk about the Colts.
Their giant choke of not being in the playoffs.
They had to beat the 2-14 Jacksonville Jaguars to get into the playoffs.
In Clown Town.
Yeah.
Clown Town. A fan even paid to fly a plane over the field with Clown Town spelled out KLOWN town on the back of the plane You even had fans wearing clown makeup and wigs and everything.
They get GM Trent Baalke fired.
Shad Khan couldn't even keep his own stadium in order. That people were just overrunning the pools.
Just disgusting effort by the Colts. I mean, Carson Wentz was horrible. One time he couldn't be horrible. He was horrible.
Oh, what was it I saw? Or the new NFL QBR or quarterback rating is 100 is a perfect game. 50 is the average quarterback. In that game, do you know what Carson Wentz, what his QBR was?
I'm going to guess 23.
4.4.
All right.
You have two offensive linemen in the top or in the NFL top 100. You've got an MVP candidate in the backfield, defensive MVP candidate on your defense, and 7 Pro Bowlers on the team, and you lose to the Jags, who
Score
once again
11 points.
And you had to pay $30 million to Carson Wentz, and you still got to pay him $15 next year,
and a first-round draft pick. It's horrendous. I mean, this is even more puzzling than the Jags beating the Bills 9-6.
Yeah, because the Bills were up and down all week or all year, but the Colts had been on a roll of beating. They beat the crap out of the Bills. They beat the crap out of the Patriots.
They beat Arizona
with limited people.
Oh God, it's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. I mean, how do you bring back Wentz after that? Frank Reich would not commit to Wentz in his press conference yesterday.
No, but at the start of the game, they were going Wentz. It was all Wentz. They were like, fuck Jonathan Taylor, guys leading the league in rushing yards.
I think
we got a good offensive line. We're not going to run it.
I think they'll still bring him back, though. I do. And
well, I mean, they have to unless they release him, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to, and they're gonna. But that's just terrible. That's just terrible.
I mean, who's even their backup there?
What's his name? Jacob Eason? Is that the backup from Washington or whatever? I think that's him. Just bad, really bad, really bad.
It's not like they can draft somebody in this draft, or they can take your guy Stetson, maybe.
Oh boy, yeah, no. All right.
They said, "Hey, you want a natty here? Just come on."
Head coaching, 7 vacancies right now, including the Raiders who are in the playoffs. You got to think Bisaccia.
Did any of these surprise you?
Yeah, I think Flores is surprising.
2 of them surprised me.
Which was, I'm assuming you were surprised by Flores?
Yes.
What was the other one?
The other one's Vic Fangio.
Yeah, Fangio is the ultimate good defensive coordinator, bad head coach.
I mean, you've got to give him some credit. I mean, his offense, like every week, there's like 4 guys out.
Yeah, I think.
And then they trade Von Miller away from him, and his defense kept getting hurt or COVID.
I just feel like,
as well as they played with all that,
I don't think that they. I think that they kind of look at it as, I don't think he's going to be a much better head coach than what he's been here, and we're not winning, and we don't have a quarterback. They probably want to bring in an offensive guy now, and they just figured get rid of him now while we can. And I mean, his comment after the game against Kansas City was true, where he said, people asking what the difference between his team and the other 3 teams in the division where they all have legitimate quarterbacks. We don't. That's a fair answer, but I think that that's kind of what they're like, you know what, let's move on. So it doesn't surprise me that much. I felt like he was always kind of a hot seat guy. It took until today for the Giants to fire Joe Judge, but that had to be done. Just they were so bad. 6 straight losses by double digits. You had the whole 3rd and 9 QB sneak. I mean, just an atrocious tenure for Joe Judge and one of the best franchises in the game for years. 4 Super Bowls. They have been an absolute train wreck for 5 years now, and they're about to have their 4th head coach in that span. They had McAdoo, Shermer, Judge, and now they're going to have a 4th.
I mean, how many of these have been in Daniel Jones's career? He had all of them?
No, he had Shermer and Judge.
So this will be his 3rd head coach in, 4 years?
Yeah. Not good at all. He was pretty good under Shermer, though.
I mean, then you had one who was pretty, or I mean, at least we or our area thought this was happening. Matt Nagy out
Yeah,
in
I mean,
Chicago.
he's honestly he's not even the worst coach on here. I mean,
No, and then Mike Zimmer in Minnesota staying in the division out.
yeah, I wonder if Zimmer what he does next. Like
Which they
defensive
also fired their
coordinator.
GM, right?
Both the Bears and the Vikings fired their GMs.
Think any of these guys go to Jacksonville?
No.
I mean, not even to be a head coach, anything.
I doubt it. I doubt it. I mean, don't you think that someone like Nagy has like Alabama written all over him, offensive coordinator or offensive assistant? Because I feel like that's what these like Bill O'Brien.
Where do you think he's leaving?
No, but Nagy could be an assistant on the Alabama staff, and then when Bill O'Brien inevitably leaves, Bill O'Brien could get an NFL head coaching job, maybe. I mean,
can you imagine if like Fangio went to Alabama?
I feel like Fangio's too old for the college game at this point.
I'm just saying if he did.
Yeah, they'd be good defensively, yeah.
I mean, like they already are, and then just add his knowledge to it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Fangio is going to get a defensive coordinator job in the NFL, given what he did with Chicago.
I mean, and then Flores blows my mind. Guy wins 8 or 9 out of the last 10 games.
Yeah, they won 10 games last year. They won 9 games this year.
But they won 9 of the last 10, right?
Yeah.
And then they fire him.
Well, it seems like there was a lot of inner workings there between the GM, the owner, and the coach. A lot of disagreements, I guess, and they just decided to move on. And he's going to get a head coaching job, I think. Somebody's going to hire him, I think.
My guess would probably be New York or New York.
I think the Giants are going to go really hard for somebody like Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh.
Who was it? Someone said something about Miami talking to him or whatever, and Miami denied it.
Yeah. Well, the thing for the Giants is they got to get somebody who can clean up the mess in there. They cannot – I personally do not think the Giants can hire another first-time head coach.
Well, and then they got drama themselves between them and the Jets by the guy trying to sue them because how they're the New York teams, but they play in Jersey.
Yeah, just a disaster. New York football. The Jets haven't made the playoffs since 2010. The Giants have been a train wreck ever since the boat picture of the receivers.
I mean, how does that guy think of that?
I don't know.
Hey, I'm going to sue both these NFL teams for, what was it, like $7 million or something? Because they false advertise. They say they're New York teams, but they play in Jersey.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb. I mean, is what it is, though.
Like, we knew Nagy and Zimmer were gone and Judge, but Flores and Fangio are the ones who they weren't expected.
Yeah, I wonder who hires Flores. I can see the Bears doing it.
What's his back? Is he a defensive guy or an offensive guy?
Defensive guy. He was a Belichick guy.
So he comes from the Patriot tree.
Now, let me ask you, from your perspective, for your teams, do you think that Leftwich or Bowles gets a job? I think one of them gets one. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah. And they both interviewed for Jacksonville.
I could see. I could very much envision Byron Leftwich in Jacksonville.
And Bowles went like last Tuesday, and then Leftwich went Friday, and Bowles was giving him pointers and stuff. I mean, I think Leftwich if he goes to Jacksonville, I think Leftwich would get it first. Because he played there.
Yeah, and he's due to get a head coaching job, you would think, at this point. And I think that they want to get an offensive guy in there with Lawrence, a younger offensive guy. So we'll see.
And someone who mixes it up, Leftwich isn't like some of these other, the older guys who are going to sit there and want to run, blah, blah, blah. I think he kind of sees the younger game and adds stuff into what the quarterback wants.
And one other name I think to look out for Jacksonville or Denver would be the Packers offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett. He was the OC in Jacksonville, pretty much got scapegoated. They went to the AFC Championship with him and Bortles. I know that was a defensive team, but you get to an AFC Championship with Blake Bortles as your quarterback, pretty impressive. And then he got scapegoated like a year later, but Hackett, I think, will get a job too. And one of those two teams could make sense. Hopefully, we have some hirings to talk about next week on the pod.
Yeah, I hope Bulls doesn't go anywhere.
I hope he does, personally. But all right, and I hope it's an AFC team like Jacksonville. But all right, let's go to golf.
Yeah, they had the Century Tournament of Champions last weekend. The winner, Cameron Smith, wins $1.5 million, shot 34 under.
He is an impressive player. I mean, him, but it cannot be understated. John Rahm, 3,300, just continues to just be unbelievable. 3,300 doesn't get the win, but.
And our boy Kevin Kisner shot 24 under, tied for 8.
Yeah, Kiz had a good week, and his Georgia Bulldogs last night, got the job done.
Even though he's from Aiken, South Carolina.
But he went to Georgia, so, got to give him the props. And him and Justin Thomas had a big bet since Justin Thomas was to Alabama, and this time it comes up in favor of Kisner.
And then this weekend you have the Sony Open in Hawaii, defending champion Kevin Na at Wailea Country Club in Honolulu, Hawaii. So back-to-back Hawaii tournaments.
Should be some good golf going on. Not a lot of them, but a good amount of the players are staying there. I think DeChambeau's going to be in it. Kisner's going to be in it. Kevin Na, who is the defending champ, will be in it. So Cameron Smith will be in it as well. So lots of good golf to come, especially this season. All right, college basketball, AP top 10 right now. And I have to inform you, number 1 is Baylor. They lost tonight to Texas Tech.
Oh, hold on.
Whoa, I was informing the folks.
Hey, look at right underneath the rankings.
I forgot about that. Did not see that. But hey, think about this.
So the AP poll as of Monday, Baylor 1, Gonzaga up 2-2, UCLA 3 up 2, Auburn up 5 to number 4, who just beat Alabama. USC up 2 to number 5, their highest ranking since 1974. Arizona up 2-6, Purdue down 4-7, Duke down 6-8 after Ethan had to talk Miami into existence. Kansas down 3 to number 9, Michigan State at number 10. And then you had USC lose by 6 at Stanford tonight, and then Texas Tech comes back from down 15, which the score is 31-16 with 6:13 left in the first half, to beat the last unbeaten team in Baylor, 65-62.
So the two last unbeaten teams in Division I hoops went down within hours of each other, USC and Baylor.
Yeah, right after, a day after USC gets their highest ranking since 1974.
So you knew they were going to screw it up. But they did successfully screw it up. So new number 1 will likely be Gonzaga, so right back to where it started for them. And,
I would say Gonzaga, UCLA, Auburn, all move up.
I could see Auburn jumping UCLA.
I read after the game, they were saying that they might be one of the best teams in the country right at the moment.
They won 12 in a row. So
yeah, they're definitely the hottest team out of any of them.
And they're in the probably the best conference in terms of teams quality. LSU, Kentucky, Alabama, they've lost a couple. They're still good. Tennessee's good. There's some good teams in that conference.
Alabama took them to the final 20 seconds and lost by 4.
It was a 14-point game with like 6 minutes left, and Alabama had a 14-0 run to tie it. But good game there. Major League Baseball, we actually got a few things to talk about here.
Yeah, you got the MLB and the Players Union to meet Thursday.
First time they're talking since the lockout, December 2nd.
Yeah, so maybe things will get in motion here. Maybe
Probably
there will
not,
be a season.
There'll be a season. It's just going to be late and short, if I had to guess.
Then you had Chavez, who we talked about a couple weeks ago, who is supposedly leaving the Yankees staff to join the Mets staff.
It's bizarre. I don't know.
And then to stay with the Mets, they are going to retire number 17 jersey in honor of Keith Hernandez.
Long overdue. Got into the Cardinal Hall of Fame last year. Legend. I'm a big fan of Keith Hernandez.
He joins a select group to be retired with. He's only the 4th player. The other players are Tom Seaver, Mike Piazza, and Jerry Kuzman. And then they have 2 managers in Gil Hodges and Casey Stengel. He's also been a broadcaster for the Mets since 1999.
Yep.
which that's what the ESPN article said, but Wikipedia said 98. So I don't know which is actually correct.
Either way, it's been a long time. Him and Gary Cohn and Ron Darling, the league-renowned best booth in the sport, and I don't disagree.
I mean, he signed with the Cardinals out of school. Made his debut in I think 74. He's from San Francisco. His first game he played with the Cardinals was at San Francisco.
He was a great player.
And then
both teams.
He played there for 9 years. So in 83,
won an MVP.
83 and a ring.
Yep.
And then in 83 he went to the Mets, won a ring.
86, yeah.
And
great player.
He played there for 6 years, so he retired in 89 or 90.
He's a different first baseman, too, because he was really good defensively, and he hit for contact, not a lot of power. And a first baseman that you're probably not going to see too much in the game today in terms of the power. I think most first basemen these days are much more power than anything else. And defense, that was what he did. So,
yeah,
congrats to Keith.
Either the Mets are really stingy on their, what numbers they retire, or they haven't had as
well. They've had a lot of controversy with some of their franchise legends over the years. Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry. So David Wright, you got to think, wouldn't he get up there at some point?
You would think.
And DeGrom, if he stays on this track, you would think at some point. I mean, I don't know. They are that way, but with Cohen as the owner now, I think they're going to be a little bit more loose with this. Okay, NHL, your team does what we knew they would do at some point. They signed Tuukka Rask 1 year, $1 million base salary. Probably comes the right time. I mean, they need a little bit of help in net. I think that's something that has been known. I mean, the Linus Ullmark deal was very weird. Yeah, just multi-year deal, unproven goaltender really playing in Buffalo. I think it was a bit of a desperate move by Sweeney.
Yeah, like you didn't need to make that move. You kind of knew Tuukka was going to come back, but you just knew he needed time from his hip surgery to come back.
Well, to be fair, this could be the final go for Tuukka. He seems like the type of guy that would retire a little earlier than expected. He's had injuries. He's kind of a different style of personality, and I don't know. We'll see. But
I could see him playing at least another year or two after.
We'll see. We will see. Evgeny Malkin returned for the Penguins tonight, scored 2 goals, I believe, for them. They've been hot. Getting him back is only going to make them better. You had Jack Eichel joining the Golden Knights skate. An emotional moment for him. I mean, you got to think he'll be back within the next month and a half. I still think he's got probably at least a month of not playing, but once he gets back.
But we thought when this first happened, we thought it was going to be way longer.
Yeah, I thought mid-March, late March would be a good target, but I think February he'll be back at some point.
When's the All-Star break?
It's either late January or early February. I don't remember which. But he'll be back very soon.
And then the Red Wings hired legend Lindstrom as their VP of hockey operations.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a little bit of a former player thing going on there where Steve Yzerman as the GM. They know what they're doing. I think
it's a good move.
Great GM. Yeah. Lindstrom, I mean, I think he's a top 3 defenseman of all time. I mean, you got Bobby Orr. You want to throw somebody else in there? I think some people would maybe say Paul Coffey. I would say, well, he didn't defend at all, but if you want to call him a defenseman, that's fine. But Nick Lidstrom was legit. Norris winner after Norris. Norris after Norris. Win it every year with a Red Wings team.
The next guy, or now they just need to hire Datsuk and Kronwall.
Datsuk might still be playing in the one of those leagues. I swear he was still playing.
The Russian league or something?
Let me find out here. He is not playing this season, but in the KHL last year, he scored 35 points in 51 games. So,
which is the Russian league, right?
Yeah. He's played 5 seasons in the KHL after retiring in 15-16 from the NHL. So,
and then is Kronwall playing?
Let's see here.
Dude laid people out. Changes the way defensemen hit people.
He is not playing. He retired 2018-19, and he is hung him up officially from the
Man,
sport.
I didn't think he played that long. Was that in the NHL? He played till 19?
Yeah, he's 41 now, so he was like 38 when he was still playing in the league.
Man, I didn't think he was still playing 2 years ago.
Well, the Red Wings were pretty bad a couple years ago, so I don't think anybody knew that they were even playing. College football.
Yeah, you got last night Georgia outlasted Alabama in the college football championship. I mean, Stetson held his own to Ethan's dislike of him and his skills.
Great story for him, congrats. I still don't think he's that good, but he made some big time throws. And if we're going to be honest, I don't know if they would have won, but the Jamison Williams loss for Bama was enormous.
That was my other thing. Alabama lost 2 key receivers, one in the semifinals against Cincinnati, and then one in the second quarter of the championship, both around the same time of the game when they both got hurt. And Jamison Williams, I mean, you could just see his knee buckle when he tried making a cut.
Yeah.
And I didn't see what's his name's injuries. I didn't see his in the semi.
Similar thing. But that hurt. And Bryce Young made some terrific throws on third downs that were dropped. So those two not being there was enormous for them.
But neither of them, like they talked about their tight ends and stuff, neither of them really use their tight ends.
Well, Jaleel Billingsley is the tight end for Bama who's transferring now. But
there was him and Tafu or
Latu.
I mean, he had a bunch of he had multiple drops. He did catch a touchdown, but I mean that ball Stetson threw for the first touchdown on the defensive offside. I mean, you couldn't have thrown that any better. And they had good coverage on the guy. This is a great catch.
Bama's defense is just not very good at coverage this season. They're much better at tackling. But the thing is, Alabama next season is going to be about 10 times better than they were this season. So I don't think there's anything to worry about there. I'd be shocked if they weren't back in it again next year.
Man, who's their next running back up?
I don't even know, and I don't really think it matters. Whoever it's going to be is going to be good. Now you look at the transfer portal, Keyshawn Boutte, who's number 1 receiver at LSU, transferring to Alabama. Number 1 corner at LSU, Eli Ricks, who's probably another first-round pick, transferring to Alabama. Kool-Aid McKinstry, year 2 as the full-time starting corner. He'll be better. You'll have Will Anderson Jr., I think, is the best overall player in the country. He was everywhere last night. He's returning. Dallas Turner returning. They're going to be ridiculously good. Bryce Young, obviously, back.
Dallas Turner's only a freshman, right?
Yeah, and he's getting better, too. So, yeah, they're going to be very good next season. But congrats to Georgia.
What was that? What was the name of that number 84 for Alabama?
84.
The freshman who had to come in after Jameson got hurt. And they were talking about how he was supposed to be a stud or whatever, but he
I don't remember his name.
But, I mean, if he can get some time with Bryce Young and stuff.
If he could catch the ball, Joshua Lanier, transfer from North Alabama. He needs to catch the ball because there was a third down throw that was, yeah.
I didn't think that was his name.
That's what it says here. Pretty sure. All right. Let's do the betting picks. I went 8-12 last week. It was a rough go.
I did the same thing.
In the NFL, struggles. So I am now 301 and 259 on the season. Did hit on a golf pick, had Cam Smith top 10, and he won. So there you go.
I'm 302 and 264, and I also hit on a golf pick. I had John Rahm in the top 5.
Boom. All right. Let's do the golf for this week. The Sony Open in Hawaii. My picks here to win, give me Sung J.M. plus 1,600, Kevin Kisner plus 3,000, and Harris English plus 3,500. Top 5, give me Kevin Na plus 550, the winner from last year. And then I will take Cam Smith to stay hot plus 120 to finish top 10. Who you got?
IG Hall is number 84.
Well, I was told that it was somebody else, so I was lied to. Okay, I think that Lanier was there last year as 84.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he had 2 catches for 52 yards, but I wish on this, how like NFL shows targets, this doesn't show me targets he had.
Yeah.
But golf, I have Sung J M plus 1,600, Kevin Knott plus 2,500, Billy Horschel plus 4,500. Top 5, I got Kisner plus 700, and top 10, I have Cameron Smith at plus 120.
All right, let's do the NBA picks for Wednesday night. Give me the Knicks plus 1.5 against the Mavericks, and the Bulls plus 1 against the Nets. And that's weird. The Bulls game and the Bulls-Nets game in Chicago starting at 9 p.m. local time.
Well, we're going head-to-head on both these. I have the Mavs minus 1.5 over the Knicks, and the Nets minus 1.
That should be interesting. All right.
I think that's the second game is definitely going to be a good matchup. I mean, Kyrie's able to play in that game, so you have their big 3 against the Bulls 3.
Yeah, that'll be a good game, no doubt. NHL picks for Wednesday night. I'm taking 2 big favorites: the Leafs minus 300 at the Coyotes, and the Bruins minus 320 against the Canadiens.
I saw it at the Bruins minus 135 over Montreal. And the Stars
number wrong.
And the Stars plus 130 over the Kraken.
Well, let me check to make sure I'm not blind. Yeah, mine says minus 320 in the money line.
So what did I look up then?
I think we picked puck line. I don't know why I picked money line. That's my bad.
We should pick money line, but
puck line is a little bit of a lower number.
So that's what I picked then.
Yeah, we'll just pick that for this week.
So you got the Bruins minus 135 and
Leafs minus 120. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
College hoops. Thursday, I got out of the Ohio Valley Conference. Tennessee State at Murray State, taking Murray State. And the Big East, I have Butler at Georgetown, taking Butler. It's like 8-6 for 6-8.
Yeah.
Friday, I got Michigan and Illinois, taking Illinois. And out of the Atlantic 10, I have Davidson at Richmond. Good matchup. I'm taking Davidson. Saturday, Tennessee at Kentucky. I believe it's like 16 versus 18, taking Kentucky at home. And then West Virginia at Kansas, taking West Virginia. And they barely won tonight against Iowa State. And Roy Williams was even in the house.
Yeah, that was a sight to see there. Okay, college hoops for me Friday. Give me Gonzaga over BYU. Thursday, sorry. Gonzaga over BYU and Ohio State over Wisconsin.
Hey.
Friday.
I looked at that game, but after Ohio State lost Indiana last week when I picked them, I didn't want to pick that game.
Yeah, I'm going to ride with Ohio State, though, to bounce back in the Big Ten. Give me Davidson over Richmond on Friday and VCU over St. Bonaventure. And then Saturday, Auburn over Ole Miss and USC to bounce back over the Oregon Ducks. All right.
Who'd you take Friday?
Davidson over Richmond and VCU over St. Bonaventure.
Oh, we took the same game there.
All right. NFL Super Wild Card Weekend, Saturday games. Who do you like?
I got the Bengals -5 at home against the Raiders, and the Patriots +4 at Buffalo.
I'm taking Bengals -5, Bills -4. What do you got Sunday?
The Bucks -8.5 at home, the Niners +3.5, and the Chiefs -12.5.
Give me the Eagles +8.5 to keep it close, similar to what Washington did to Tampa last year in the wild card round. Give me the Niners +3.5 at the Cowboys and the Chiefs -12.5 against the Steelers. Monday night.
I'm done taking the Rams at 3.5, so I'm taking the Cardinals at +3.5.
Cardinals have first round exit written all over them, I think. So I'm going to take the Rams -3.5.
Every time I take the Rams -3.5, it doesn't work out. So I'm just hedging my bet and going with the Cardinals +3.5.
It's fair to stick with it. All right, before we get out of here, footy picks. Last week I went 3-2-3. A lot of draws last week. So I'm 48, 29, and 4 on the year. I got 8 picks here. League One, which is France, of course. Give me PSG -521 over Stade Brest. Don't know that team existed until now, but I picked against them. So there you go. La Liga, Villarreal -120 over Aish. Serie A, Italy, of course, Verona plus 220 over Sassuolo, and AS Roma minus 265 over Cagliari. I almost didn't get that pronunciation correct. Premier League, Chelsea plus 390 against Man City, and Wolves plus 115 against Southampton. Bundesliga, Dortmund minus 195 over Freiburg, and Mainz minus 145 over Bochum. That'll do it for that, and that'll do it for us. Number 47 will come your way next week, and we'll see you next Wednesday on the Sports Mashup.
Deuces.